but they're still...
You're a fabulous runner. Yeah.
Wow, that is just the jazz hands. It actually makes me go faster.
Yeah.
I was like, the day I found out I had COVID, I'd run like a PB.
Oh, yeah?
And I was like, I think this makes me faster.
It's fucking sound, man. You should get that out there to the world. Get the masks off you. You want to go fast? Take the masks off.
No, I might just no mask, go fast.
No mask, go fast. Hashtag.
Podcast. So, yeah, that can be the cold open.
Ew.
I don't usually have a cold open. I kind of just...
That's great. That's definitely what you want to start with. Say, back from COVID, I tell you, it's not that big of a deal. Do the old Trump on it. Say, I think everyone should get the pubs open again.
Did you see him in Florida? It's in Florida? And he was like, this was less than a week. And he was like, I could kiss you all. And then he was throwing merch into the crowd, but like he was clearly handling it, and like it was to his face. And he's just a super spreader.
Guy's a bloody muppet, man.
He's a muppet. He's so entertaining to watch, though.
Ah, he is, yeah.
Well,
I don't. I mute him completely from Twitter.
Oh, do you?
Him personally, and people who talk about him. Especially like when people are like, or I hate, but I kind of hate like when people are like, Mr. Trump, how about you? And it's like, he's not fucking reading it. He's not reading this. Like, actually, Mr. Trump, why don't you go wow in your comment? Like, do you seriously think?
Does he do all his tweets? He should have someone that he says tweet this, and that's it.
I think he does all of his own tweets, but I think some of the ones he's kind of like, you got to say something about the Navy. It's the Navy's birthday. You got to say something to say thanks for our frontline workers and stuff like that. But everything that's all like, China! Exclamation mark.
China virus. Oh, yeah, and they're all caps.
Yeah.
And you just scream them out. But welcome back to the podcast. Everyone that's listening, another week, another podcast. Flying it. Thanks a million for all the support from the last one too. Ryan Carrick, a very funny guy. And with me today is one of my favourite comedians, and I'm not just saying that because he's in the studio. I got him here. I've been wanting this for ages, for so long. When I started the podcast is when I first kind of reached out to you. So you know that I'm not.
No,
I'm not being fake. I'm not being like, yeah, I love this guy. What's your name again?
What's your name? Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It was back in March 2019.
March 2019. Yeah. So with me here, sorry, is Tony Cantwell.
Hi.
How are you, Tony?
I'm great. I'm in flying form. How are you?
Good. Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I mean, like physically or like just emotionally, because
oh god, yeah.
Two very different.
Do you ever have that when you're like, someone asks you, "Are you all right?" and you're like, "That's the one." I was not crying, but if you ask me if I'm all right, that's the thing that's gonna, like, do you ever get like a ball booted at your face in school, and you're like trying to keep your shit together, and then someone's like, "You all right?" You're like,
like, I'm fine.
Like, why are you asking me that? You know I'm gonna break. We're men here. Don't be asking me that.
And you get like unnecessarily aggressive. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah. Fuck off. And it's only someone trying to be nice.
It's only someone trying to be nice. Yeah.
But yeah, Tony Cantwell, the Irish comedian, social media star, podcaster, influencer.
Oh look, yes. Yes. I did get nominated to the Gossies for top social media star.
I saw that.
And because I didn't win, but there was a load of people, I just assumed I came second. So I still have. I have my Instagram bio. It's like number 2. I did this thing, little like play of the mind, I'm kind of like David Blaine in that way, where I have like a silver medal, and it's really small emoji. Silver medal is this small second, and I say social media star of the year, and with a small silver medal.
You've hot press comedian of the year as well.
I know, as well. Hot press comedian of the year. You see, look very closely. It's a tiny silver medal in front of that. So people get confused, and then I'm like, "What are you talking about? Just read. You didn't do your research."
It's completely obvious.
Yeah.
You've been. I mean, you are one of the like pinnacle moments of my college time, like probably one of the best memories I've had in college. And fun fact as well, you like brought not that I was a strain with these people, but you brought me and a lot of people really close in college. Yeah, because of your infamous, what probably got you known first would have been your infamous Klongos video.
Yeah.
And like that was the running joke, and like just the saying of, I'd say, my third year as well into my final year of college.
That makes me so happy. The fact that took a life of its own, took on a life of its own, it makes me so deeply. I'll never top it.
Hit my peak. That's
it. No, but for people, like the fact that people just, because I know what that's like. Like I have a video that I constantly watch of this guy who calls up. He's this alpha who calls up a guy accidentally, just missed, wrong number, and he just stays on the phone, burning the ear off this kid, and he's like talking for ages, and he's all like, He's like, so Chants is lad. He says he's an actor. I said, you're wasting your time. Here's why. You need to get into clowning. And he talks about getting into clown college. It's my favourite video on YouTube. And just from me and my mates talking exclusively through that and quotes from that. And even when you get into like, you're trying to get the actual tone of the voice, you know, and you're all like, could be clowning, you know, and how people communicate like that. I'm delighted I got to have anything that fit into that sort of way of communication.
Because I actually, sorry, just off the top of my head, I remember I had reached out to you, I was like 2016, 17.
Oh, yeah?
Because it's just like, oh, I'm running for a welfare officer, would you mind doing a cameo? And then at the time, I think it was when your video was taken off, and you had said there was like every Tom, Dick and Harry who was running for something was reaching out to you, and you were like, it'd probably be a bit unfair to do one. And
I did say that.
Very polite. Again, I'm a big fan of people who are incredibly polite in their response to me, just because the amount of times who people have like, or I just like not to me, just like naming out people. Just
and now we go on to liars.
Yeah, but like who were just very polite and courteous in like, oh no, unfortunately I can't do that at the moment. It means a lot to someone to like at least close the loop. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, that's completely fair.
Because you're a hustler, baby. That's what you do. You chat to people. You start the conversation with people, which is great. Yeah. And a lot of people don't. People are like, you know, might send you a message being like, hi, I'm just kind of wondering if there's this thing, you know, would you want to even entertain the idea? And I'm like, I'd love to answer the question, but I don't know what you're asking here at all. Yeah. You're always like, you're just like, hey, I have this thing. This is what it is. This is why you should care, you know, and would you want to do it? And then I don't respond to you for a year. And then, and then I'm here.
I loved my message to you, because I was like, because I was like, if I feel like if he hated me, he would have blocked me, but they're still sending it. So I was just like, what was I said? When I say Fry, you say day.
Friday. Brilliant. Brilliant.
And here we are on Friday.
Look, you're a handsome man, Podge. Look, you're a handsome man. Because I often think, like, you know, Notebook, when like Ryan Gosling's obviously pursuing Rachel McAdams, and then he's pursuing her quite severely, you know, and then there's a bit where he starts hanging from the thing and he's like, I'm gonna fucking die if you don't go out with me on the Ferris wheel. But like, he's Ryan Gosling. But if that was Steve Buscemi, it was going to be a different story altogether, you know? So you can send me loads of messages.
Kicking him like, get off.
Get the fuck, actually. Do you know what, man?
Who is this guy?
Let's get this guy out of here. But you're a handsome guy, so I'm happy to be pursued aggressively by you for the rest of my life.
I'll take that.
Yeah,
I'll take that. So let's talk about like you, because you're a comedian. How did you start into comedy? You were like, correct me if I'm wrong, because a lot of my research from you is just from actually following you throughout the year. You know, not I like non-extensive spending one night research. This is like off the cuff, genuine fandom. But, so your house was number.
Yeah.
But like you started comedy in England. You tried a comedy in England.
Yeah, when I was living in London, I tried to do like proper stand-up, and like I think people when they start comedy. This was before kind of, you know, it wasn't even before videos and social media. It felt like the only way to do it was like you have to get up and do stand-up comedy, which is the hardest thing because it's not like you can just have an air of being funny. You have to be like, this is exactly what's funny and this is exactly where you laugh.
Yeah.
So you kind of, the idea where you're hanging out with your mates at a gaff party and you're making them laugh. You're making them laugh. So because you're like hanging out with your mates at a gaff party making them laugh, you can't translate that to the stage, and you don't really have the kind of experience. See, the thing is, when you go up on a stage, you kind of think all these instincts are going to kick in, but you actually forget your even instinct to fucking breathe. Like you do forget how to move your hands. Like so everything. So I kept going up, thinking, right, no, I'll get it. It'll come from within at some point, without realizing. No, you have to know what you're saying, decide what it is, and then work on it, and then actually get up and practice it and say it out loud. Because even when I was starting off, I was like, I actually felt a bit cringe even talking out loud to myself or recording myself and being like, I can't do that. That's going to hurt. One of my roommates heard me. But that's the end goal is for me to get up on stage and make other people laugh. So I just kept going up, and like, you talk about the fucking definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again with no result. Kept going up thinking I could wing it. And you do get your kind of sea legs a little bit on the stage, but you not nearly enough to ever think that, you know, it was ever good.
Did you practice like your comedy routine? Because I feel like it was. I've never done stand up, and I don't think it's something I want to do.
I think you would be. I would think you would be good because you're a confident guy, and I think you'd actually you would do better starting off at least in stand up just being a confident person who can actually speak in front of a room full of people rather than actually being a joke writer. Because you forget the audience are there and they actually want to laugh. They're on the edge of their seat. Yeah. So all you have to do is be a clear communicator. A lot of the people who go up and they're fantastic joke writers, but they don't know how to say it exactly. And then people lose kind of confidence because they can't get it. So I reckon someone like, if you had a joke writer from The Simpsons who had never actually spoken in front of people before, and some GA manager who is the most unfunny cunt in the world, the GA manager who's used to speak in front of the lads will have the best head start, I think, in doing stand-up. So I didn't really have that. I was not a very clear communicator, you know.
I've a friend, Joe, who I think he's the perfect... the balance of that. And I remember he's quite dark comedy, and it was at a time where, you know, certainly it was like a college event, and I was like, this is something that it could go down really badly.
Yeah.
You know, a whole load of people in there who might take offense to it, or, you know, there might be a story written. And I remember he practiced his piece, and they were funny, but I said, these are dark, like these aren't going to land. But it was just he got on stage, and it was the confidence, and it was the way that, and the entire room, just everything he said was so. I remember he made some incredibly bad, not bad, it was really funny, but incredibly dark joke about like his dad letting a horse ride him. Something really like bizarre, but it was just that it was his ability to hold himself and the confidence, and then as well as his really good joke writing, that was just that sweet spot that had everyone going.
You want people to be like, that's fine, that you want people to be like, oh, I just didn't get that, it went over, you know, it went over my head, rather than, no, this guy doesn't actually know what he's saying, you know. So having that kind of confidence, even if it's if it's not great material, people will be all like, okay, yeah.
But like your show live feed, that got rave reviews.
It did, yeah. Well, that was, well, as soon as I copped, you know, as soon as I copped that that you do have to practice, and you do have to kind of get other people involved, because you're trying to put off. Well, I was trying to put off to the very last minute someone telling me that they didn't think it was funny. And the last minute is when you do it in front of a fucking crowd, where it's all like, you know, well, whatever, I'll just do it, you know. But you kind of need to have, you know, your, you know, people, you not take it so personally, and know at the end of the day that you're a fucking joker, you know. And the best thing for the people to do is to have had a good time, and people can help you along the way by telling you that's not good, or can you show me the joke, can you maybe, you know, have people tear it apart and put it back together, or at least accept people's advice, you know. And
did you find it like easier to, once we'd say your social media videos kind of took off and was it much easier then to do the stand-up, because you had people who knew who Tony Cantwell was? They were here for Tony Cantwell.
Don't give me, I fucking skipped the queue, Podge. I skipped the queue.
You had the fast pass there.
I got the fucking fast. Yeah, I did. Yeah, no, but I did, like, and I, you know, for the first couple of years when I was like, well, I'm fucking only been doing this like 3 years, but I'd say for the first year, I was walking around, kind of going to comedy clubs, feeling like I didn't, kind of was like my head down, being like, oh, I'm the internet guy, you know, and I don't deserve to be up on the stage, because I totally respect the people who don't do the social media route. They have to be like, the route is you get 2 minutes. Someone, you know, might just give you 2 minutes to do.
Usually last 15 seconds.
Hey.
Actually, sorry, I was kissing someone in a car, saying goodbye to them. saying goodbye to them, and the guards pulled up and started flashing in the window, and I felt like I was 15 years of age. And I went bright red, and then
what?
Yeah.
Were you doing a bit of dogging?
We actually weren't doing a bit of dogging. We were just kissing. And thankfully we weren't doing any dogging. But my car looks.
Doing a bit of dogging, yeah.
My car looks very conspicuous. Like it's a black. It used to be owned by a drug dealer.
Really?
Yeah, my mum got it in like a repossessed kind of auction.
No way.
So like it's tinted. The windows are tinted. The car's lowered. It's this black Mercedes, but it's not like a new one. It's like an 05. So it looks, you know, it's like a drug dealer who doesn't have money but wants to look like he's money. And I get pulled over all the time. So when they seen this car parked up, and they were kind of like, what's going on here? And and then I got out of the car. I was like, hi. And obviously, I certainly in that kind of a moment, I'm the most, I suppose, unintimidating person ever. So I get out and I'm like, hey, what's up? And the guard there was a band guard in the front seat. And she didn't look at me, but she was looking directly, but she had the biggest grin on her face. And he was like, you all right? And I was like, yeah, just dropping her home. And then he's like, oh yeah, one thing led to another. I was like, yeah. He goes, got a bit carried away. And I was like, thank God. Like, imagine we were riding. That would be the most awkward.
Should be allowed riding your tinted window car.
Yeah, but like,
if you see this car not rocking because probably the suspension's very low, don't come and knock.
Yeah, don't come and knock. But, a friend of mine was dogging his girlfriend at the time in the forest.
I don't know if you dog someone. I think both of you could are involved in the activity of dogging. It's not like you go skiing someone. You know what I mean? They were both dogging.
Okay, they were both.
She didn't get dogged.
Well, I should be doggy.
They have missionaries position as well. This is not, you visualize dogging the wrong way. Why am I fucking supporting the dogging community here?
You're like explaining to me like sex ed here.
Whatever.
And in the forest, and the guards pulled up, but they were like, apples, banana out, like, everything. Don't know why I said apple bananas. That was such a poor. Because this is
the bananas on the table.
This is a big banana.
It's a big enough banana.
It's big enough.
Isn't that like, not to get all fucking nanny state on us, right? But isn't it such a shame you can't go fucking dogging in the woods? This is our Earth. This is our planet. And what? There's two things you do: not ride and ride. You're taking away one of those things in the woods. That's insane.
Do you know what? I can imagine you at like a climate change rally, and everyone's like, yeah, fossil fuels, and then you're like, yeah, let's just fuck in the forest. Can I not just fuck in the forest? Who's with me, guys? And everyone's like, who the fuck's this lad?
Come with me, follow me.
Do you ever see it's an old school, and it's like,
yeah.
We're going streaking in the quad. And everyone's like, what the fuck? That's like you, but yeah. Sorry, we got sidetracked. What?
I was saying I didn't feel belonged in the comedy community. I feel like I didn't belong.
Yeah.
No, I suppose I really respect people. Anyone who does it anyway, but I really respect people who are they're just the straight stand-ups. They don't do any veer into any kind of podcasts. They don't veer into any kind of, well, podcasts is maybe a different thing, but they don't veer into like funny videos or anything like that, or sketches. They're like, I want to be really good at writing jokes and really good at performing, stuff like that. So to kind of cut your teeth, you have to get like 2 minutes of stage time. Then you might get that up to 5 minutes, and then up to 10 minutes, and then 20 minutes, and then 40 minutes, and then you become a headliner. And then this takes years, and then you go around to all over Ireland, and they know you because they've seen you in the pub a couple of times, and that's how you build a fan base. It couldn't be more grassroots. So then I come along and fucking ploon, and then I'm just literally like rock up, like having never done stand up in Ireland, and then I'm getting headline spots that lads have been working 10 years for. So I'm not to say I didn't feel anyone fucking giving me daggers. The comedy community in Ireland's so unbelievably supportive, and not as cliquey as like the London community.
And I'm presuming the New York community as well. That kind of.
Well, everyone's just kind of like.
Not that I fucking know, but.
No, they'll all have communities, but like I think Ireland is kind of like, what are we scrapping over? There's nothing. Like, we're scrapping over an empty dog bowl. Like, if you begrudge other comedians, it's all like, what? Because they took your sitcom that you were going to get away. It's not the same over here, So I did kind of feel like I was taking spots from people who really deserve them, but no one ever gave me that feeling. I just kind of carried myself like that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's not as if you didn't deserve it. I don't think, it definitely doesn't look like you didn't deserve it. You did deserve it, considering
people like the videos.
The results of them. And I mean, like, certainly at this day and age, there's so many alternative routes, and like, it's great to see someone would say do the traditional from the ground, from the grass up. Do you know what I mean? And then build. But like nowadays, there's so many other routes to go down.
Absolutely,
so it sounds as if it sounds like you cheated the game, No,
I know, and it did take me a while just to kind of cop the fact that there are other people who put stuff out on social media who don't have. Wouldn't have the same success. So it's it's just a voice you tell yourself, being like, everyone's a fluke and everyone's going to disappear and I'm going to get cancelled for going dogging in the woods, for my dogging stance. But
dogging.
But it's the kind of thing you tell yourself. So then when I so I was doing that in London, and then I kind of had given up on doing stand-up in London because I was like, I just kind of felt like I couldn't get the knack of it. It was I was doing it regularly, and I was kind of just doing it for fun. When I kind of took the pressure off it and I was just doing it for fun, when my mates would ask me to get up and do it, that's when I noticed the huge change. And then when I started putting videos out, which was just Instagram, as soon as Instagram allowed you to do videos, remember, like 15-second videos, that's when I started putting stuff out on that. And what I loved about doing it on Instagram is it just felt really disposable. I mean, then it was like, obviously pre-TikTok. TikTok, pretty much everything's, you only really see something once, and in your and it's on your feed and it disappears.
Do you know your video that I love so much, the mermaid one?
The mermaid, yeah.
No, you said no. I'm not going. It's just so. It's so like, and that's so funny. That's what I love about your comedy is in those few seconds, in that few sentences, you manage to tell a narrative of what the other guy was saying, even though he didn't say it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going anywhere. So obviously, you immediately think, oh, the fish man was telling to go away. Yeah. That aggressive. That's what I love about your comedy. Sorry.
No, like I mean, I did actually get someone in a pub in the very brief period that we were allowed to go into pubs. Remember that for that week a few weeks ago, and some guy came over to me and was like, "You're the TikTok man. You're the guy from TikTok." And I'm like, "What?" And I felt really because I felt really old for even being on TikTok. But the fact that one kind of got like a load of traction on TikTok, I was like, "The TikTok man." It validated me more than my wife and son can, as a man, to have this child tell me that I was a TikTok man.
Oh Jesus.
But I find with having done the videos back then, it was like, I'm just going to do something now and it'll be disposable. I felt as soon as I took the pressure off everything, it was just like, now I can do it. Do you know what I mean? I always felt like, I was getting to 30 and I was kind of feeling like that there had to be something that would define me, that there have to be like, oh, this is the one thing, this thing will make up for the fact that I've been had shit jobs for the last 8 years and putting pressure on it. And I remember my wife was like, I've never met anyone who put so much pressure on themselves for it to be the new thing. Like, why don't you just accept, small 1% increases on who you were yesterday, rather than thinking that you're going to fucking win the lotto with like, someone's going to see you do stand up and be like, I want to give this person a sitcom or stuff like that. It's just not how it works. And when you just take the pressure off yourself, put something out like a video that you don't care if it does well or disappears off the face of the earth, that's when I found the graw for it.
That's such that's what I find certainly is one of my biggest issues with social media is I see these people, and even though I'm old enough and mature enough to know that it doesn't happen instantaneously, and a lot of the things that people put out there are probably fake on Instagram, or at least trying to give this perception of an amazing lifestyle or amazing career that just kind of happened, but it's not the case. But yet I still see it and go, I'm so far behind. I need to. Where's my moment? I need to. Jesus Christ, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I feel like I try to take mental pictures. Like I try and make it conscious. I'm not going to take a picture of that, but I'm going to try and remember that. I'm going to try and just take a moment of that, just so I'm not. I also just use my social media in general just for the videos, so I'm not necessarily going to be like, this is an unreal Eggs Benedict or anything like that, But yeah, I did find one time, like, I actually caught myself after, this was during doing the live feed shows, and I'd done like 3 shows on the trot. And then and when I was leaving one of the shows, I looked at my social media and I saw Justine Stafford had done a bit of stand-up like that night. And I love Justine, and I obviously follow a lot of other comedians on Instagram, and I saw she did stand up. I'm like, she's just after doing fucking stand up. What am I doing? Fucking wasting my I'm fucking twiddling me fucking dick doing fuck all. And then literally I forgot that I left the Sugar Club, having done a gig. And like I thought, oh, she's doing stand up, so she's grafting, she's working harder than me, and you just see other people being like, I'm not working. Even you literally forget your entire reality, even to the last half hour.
You forget what you did, and no matter how big that was, you're comparing yourself to everyone else.
Always.
Yeah. I get that. That's the joys of insecurities.
It is.
I get it. It's
unreal.
Swimming it. You talk about yourself, and I think it was an interview you done with Vodafone X or something when it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And you mentioned where you think you got your comedy from, and you always said child divorce. And that's where is that? Do you think that's like a lot of like trauma, or like as a child that's where a lot of kind of your ability to find humor in things is?
No, it was not trauma from a childhood divorce. It was given absolute love and admiration from 2 sides, that everything I did was special and amazing. It's like the opposite of that. It was more so like, everything you do is great, and I'm like, hey, look at this. Like, even now if I can wash a dish and I show my wife, do you see the dish that I just washed? And I'm like, look at this. So that's where it comes from, just being like, fucking look at me, jazz hands. Not really anything. But, I did think for years that you had to be, because I think I was a bit depressed when I had, and it wasn't because I had jobs that I didn't want or anything like that. It was just, just how I kind of carried myself. I didn't really want to do it, and I was very lethargic for years. And I kind of thought that that's what made you funny. I felt like there was a kind of karma balance where you had to be really sad. And I do think that there are people who are able to find a great I mean, a lot of people can find the funny side of a lot of dark things, but I don't think you have to be sad to be funny, and I don't think you have to have something bad. I don't think you need to be. I think you can be well adjusted and be an artist in whatever kind of medium you want to be. I think that's you know, you can find yourself kind of selling, like, just telling yourself, like, no, I need this. You know, it's kind of like this kind of Stockholm syndrome with your own thing. Like, no, this is actually good for me. Is me fucking laying in bed till 3 o'clock, having had 4 wanks, ordered a Deliveroo. This is so
Only
good
4?
for me.
No, I got to get those numbers up. I'll be on at least 8 by that stage. Yeah, I think actually, you remember watching an interview with Cillian Murphy, and he said that, like, he always wanted to get into acting, but he felt like because he'd never had this incredible, like, tough childhood or something that, like, he thinks differentiates him from, you see actors like, you know, Tom Hardy, who had an incredibly tough time before he got to where he is now, and personally, and he was like, he felt like he used to always needed this, but he came up with a lovely childhood and a lovely family, and his brothers and sisters were, and he the ideal what you'd like from an upbringing, and he was like, and I just felt like I was missing something. But after a couple of years, he realized that's not the case. You can be an artist. It's just there is a lot of people in the industry who have that, and because they would say so well known, their story gets told more than just your average Joe who might have a tough life, and that's where people think, oh fuck, I need this now.
Totally. I mean, it's what's going to be more, what's a more interesting story, you know. But I feel like Cillian Murphy, I'm sure, has been sad, and when he's, you know, in Peaky Blinders and he's being sad, he can dip into that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure if I was doing something and I had to do like a method, you know, like, you know, the method acting, I wouldn't be able to like dive into like some sort of like childhood illness or death, but I could remember the time that I got the wrong Batman for Christmas and start bawling my eyes out. You know what I mean? So I could, you know, I could dig deep on something that's not as traumatic, you know, to do that.
Yeah, I was going to, what did I mention down here? I have a thing. Oh yeah, I was meant to actually say at the start, I was going to just like mention your following, because you've over 34,000 on Instagram followers, 12.6 on Twitter, over 30k on Facebook. Do you still use Facebook?
No, and that 30k has not. Well, that 30k plateaued. I don't know why. It plateaued about 2 years ago, and even though I still put stuff out regularly as I would have on Instagram, just it never was never able to grow past that. I think I actually witnessed the migration of people off Facebook as it happened.
One thing I think I found from following you is because I didn't follow you on Instagram first. I'd never seen your videos on Instagram. It was Facebook where I first kind of came across your well, I suppose the soft drink video first, and then your Mate was my second favourite. And actually, I was a huge fan of Bart's dad.
Yeah.
And I'm just rhyming off like a little fangirl. And I love this video, and I love this video. And the Irish guy who thinks he's French.
Yeah.
That is one of my favourite characters.
Frenchman.
And actually, Dublin Frenchman. And another, I have a friend, Steve, who'd be very disappointed if I didn't mention him, who is a huge fan of yours as well. And he lives in Germany, and we don't talk that much anymore regularly. But every now and again, like, our way of communication is we just send a video of yours to each other, or we just send like something, a reference that you've done to each other, and that's just how we communicate, which is kind of cool.
That's sweet.
But we came across, so that's where I would have came across your videos on Facebook first, but you've seemed to rarely, certainly for like we'd say Irish comedians or Irish people who have gained traction through videos on social media, like, you know, your, I don't know, Rory Stories, or just people like who've made videos on Facebook, and that's where people have kind of discovered first. But you've managed to transition way further afield and like progress onto Instagram, where I would say a lot of people have, as you said, migrated to now, and then like doing the live shows and moved on to other mediums, which seems to be quite rare. I think from the people I'm following, maybe it's because you clearly have talent, and it's very fun. I know, very fun. You're loving this. Look at him, he's glowing. But did you find that, like, did you find it difficult to transition to, would say, the other forms of kind of content that you were doing, whether it's live or Instagram? Because I've seen people who've tried to transition to the Instagram or to where the majority of people are migrating to, and they can't do that.
Well, I think for me, I don't know if it was ever really conscious to kind of grow. I mean, I think when I saw Facebook, I just stopped in general doing the longer videos for whatever reason. It's still something that I always think only put down like the Ma's Mate or the Plune or Dublin Frenchman like a few months ago. But now I look at it, it's like probably 2 years since I've done them. But they still kind of like I will bring them back, and I will do the longer form kind of sketches with them again. But I think when I moved on to Instagram, I was like, I really love. I think it was kind of because I was using Snapchat quite a lot then as well. And Snapchat, I was much preferring because I could do even smaller, shorter sketches, like the kind of mermaid thing.
And also on the spot too. Snapchat's very like you do it there.
Exactly.
You don't like, it's not preparation or anything.
And that's just entirely, unfortunately, how I work, where it's like the idea gets less funny and I can't find it the longer I leave it. And there's things that are enhanced by doing that, like if you're writing a bit of dialogue between two people, having a couple of stabs at that. But if it's just a quote, or if it's just an energy, or if it's just a moment, like the kind of mermaid thing, it's like it has to be now, otherwise I'm not going to be able to recreate even tonally what I have in my head.
Was that like, were you literally walking down the street and you saw that, and that's where it came?
Yeah, no, my mom said that she used to see that and think, I wonder if they sell mermaids, and then and like and I'm like, imagine someone went in there and got really intimidating about it, being like, now you said, you fucking said now, So when Instagram moved to doing stories, it was like, well, that just makes far more sense, and that's what I preferred to be doing. So I just kept doing what I wanted to be doing at that time. If I had started doing the kind of longer, because I don't know if people, unless they're going on IGTV, which I don't think they do as much. I don't think people like looking at Instagram for a long period of time without swiping. I don't know if they like really sitting there and watching something for 3 minutes. Just from my own thing. But I know they might watch a story and they skip ahead and skip to the next one. And I'm more or less just on stories. So I think using the medium for what it's made for. I think if I was doing the kind of longer form stuff, maybe, I don't know, it wouldn't fly as much with Instagram. Similarly with like TikTok, it's just like, well, what can I do with that?
And where would you like? Because I ask every guest who kind of comes on, where would you? Oh, actually, fuck! Before I forget, got your present.
Oh yeah.
This is the height of narcissism.
What is this now? Oh my goodness! It's in a white box.
In a box.
It's a. Oh my goodness!
That is the height of narcissism.
It's you.
It's me.
It's your face on a mug.
It's my face on a mug. Everyone who comes on the show gets a mug.
Podge,
to
thank you so
remind
much.
them of me when they wake up in the morning and have a coffee.
I love the pink trim.
Yeah.
Can I get rid of this face off?
Just like sticker yourself on. Do you know, actually, I ordered.
That's lovely.
I ordered them because I was getting mugs for the show when it started off, being like, oh, merch.
Yeah.
And I got really drunk one night, and with a mate of mine. And I woke up the next day to find out that I'd ordered 100 mugs from Alibaba.
Oh yeah.
And in my head, I was like, it was just weird because I don't remember doing it. But typically, when you're drunk, you do something really stupid. But like, I was looking through my messages. I had reached out to 5 or 6 different suppliers. I had got in pricing. I had got 2 like draft images before I even went to sleep. And I was like, bit proud
that's
of
very
that's
impressive.
What I was, like a week before, and I was probably running around the place naked, and then I managed to like business deals.
There you are. Even when you're drunk, you're a hustler, baby.
I can't do this. I should have just left that to you.
Thank you for the mug.
No problem. I had a question.
Question?
Steve, that man I mentioned, Steve, sent in a question.
Hi, Steve. Stephen.
I'd love to know if any real cartoon perverts approach him when he talks about shagging Disney animals.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't read the question, but I just knew he sent me a question, so that was my live. And I was like, oh, fuck.
I'm the founder and chairperson of the cartoon cat fuckers community. I've always found cartoon animals very attractive ever since Maid Marian in Robin Hood, the fox, and then obviously Nala famously is like the peak of woman. And I started a campaign to change the face of Nala.
No wonder you want to fucking dog in the woods.
I'm not dogging. Dogging is not fucking a dog in the woods, Podge.
I didn't read that.
You don't know. He doesn't know what dogging is. And you don't get dogged. You don't get dogged, Marks. So I suppose since setting up the community, I don't know if I've had any genuine people be like, all right, what do you think? I do have people sending me a lot of cat porn, cartoon cat porn.
Oh my God.
Well, it's just drawings, it's fairly harmless.
Okay. Are you still like, oh, okay, weird thing to send someone, no?
Oh, no, I welcome it. I welcome it. There's weirder things to be sent. Some boob photos would be nice, but that's not going to happen. This is always You know, so I could say to my wife, "Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I keep getting sent." You know, because there's a deniability there. You know, I was like, "Oh, get rid of this. Oh, awful stuff."
I'll throw it out.
No, but I get sent cat porn. But no, I haven't had actually any real perverts approach me.
That's good.
I think people who kind of know that as long as people find it funny, it's a joke.
Yeah. Do you think everything can be found? I had a conversation with someone last night. I think everything can be found funny, no matter how awful the situation is. It can be found funny. I think the difference is you need to know who you're with when you're finding it funny. You need to know the audience, and also I think there's a huge difference for when you're saying it out loud, because as I mentioned, if you're with a friend and you're both able to separate the joke from the actual reality of the words, that's completely fine. But the issue is when you're with someone you don't know or with a crowd you don't know, what you're doing then is if they hold those views, you're instilling that idea in them, or B, you're making them think that it's okay to say these things out in public space. But I think everything, there can be humor found in everything. I've always kind of had that opinion that there can be.
Yeah, there can. I mean, would you say, you know, Roy Chubby Brown's a big old school Blackpool comedian and horribly racist, you know, but you know, he makes jokes about Pakistani people that the people who are there to see him do find funny and don't find offensive because they're white people, and you know, some of them are racist and they find that funny. They find racist jokes funny. So you will always find a group of people who could laugh at something. I know I've gone down the opposite route. You know, there's the other route, which is like, of course, your friend dies, and then another group of friends can laugh about some aspect of it, and it lightens the situation. And that's the kind of the positive aspect of comedy, you know. But then there's also people who can, like, people could laugh at anything. There's people who laugh, you know, there's 9/11 memes, you know what I mean? There's 9/11 memes, you know, and there's people who just laugh. So yeah, I mean, it can. I mean, whether that's good or bad is a different story, you know, or whether it's used for positive or used for negative. That's all subjective. But I think, yeah, people can and will laugh at everything, you know. But so, like, say if, like, I heard this comedian Matt Besser, and he was talking about how, you know, he knew someone who it's whatever goes to your head first, right? The context of the situation. Like he said that, you know, people always do this, like, oh, I had a fucking bad day, and the gun to the head, and then he actually knew someone who fucking shot himself, and then he was like, so now everyone does that, the real, oh, fucking kill me, you know, and he gets the reaction now where everyone does that because that's where his mind goes first. So some people's mind will go because it's been something dramatic, and they might be like, it can be funny, but for me, where my synapses fire is directly to misery, and other people will be like, that doesn't relate to me, and I can find it a bit funnier.
And that's what I mean. So that's what in terms of you need to know the audience who you're talking to, and ensuring that like you still obviously have to take a certain sensitivity into other people.
Totally, yeah.
And that's why I think everything can be found funny, but you just have to know where. And like, as well as that, like, certain stand-up jokes are just never good because of you don't know who's in the audience. Like, that's what I was.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't want to. You know, if there was anyone in the audience that would mean you wouldn't tell the joke, then maybe don't tell the joke. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. Like, you know, if there's. Have you ever like been afraid you got cancelled? Has there ever been a moment where you're like, this is it? I kind of feel like people who get, well, I don't think cancelled lasts forever. You know.
Well, Harvey Weinstein would beg to differ. Yeah.
Well, like, he'll lose his big job, you know. Yeah. And he'll come out of prison, and he has, you know, like, cancelled. I don't know. I think Twitter makes it feel like that is real life, and it isn't real life. It's not how people communicate with anyone. If a comedian gets cancelled, I don't know what kind of perspective I'm coming at this.
I think cancel has, for me, it's a different, like, so the likes of cancel. So in that context of with like Harvey Weinstein or someone, it's someone that I wouldn't even consider cancelled. I just think is an awful person who shouldn't work. Do you know? And it's awful. I would consider cancel in terms of someone's made a mistake, and then and often it can. They get that mob mentality where they're kind of like, okay, like, they made a mistake. It's great to call them out, that's fine, but you're sort of ruining their entire career, and it doesn't deserve to be ruined for the small mistake or something that they've done in their past, which they have obviously changed as a person.
Totally. Well, what I do have is I have a thing, just in general, I don't think there's anything on my Twitter or ranting, but sometimes this is an interesting fact, right? Do you know what you can do? You can go on Facebook, right? Type in any slur, right? Or any word in general. If you type in cat into a Facebook search bar, it'll show you any time someone in your friends group has said the word cat in a status update or even in a comment to someone else. So you take that one step further and you type in a racial slur. You can see any time in the history of Facebook that one of your friends has maybe, put in a rap lyric there that he shouldn't have put in, or said, are you N-words out tonight, back when people thought that was something that was appropriate to do, or back in fucking 2000?
In secondary school, that they wasn't aware of the kind of impact certain homophobic words would have on people, and you'd say that, and
you put the F word in there, and you can see when people say that. You can see mates rinsing other mates for not coming out to drink. so they're but so you can see all that, but I think that there's so what I do have a thing just in general with Twitter, where I have a thing that deletes my entire Twitter feed after a year, because I think there's no point it's there. So I actually have an extension that deletes everything on my Twitter after a year. It saves it and then it deletes it.
That's cool.
Just in case there's anything where I'm like, if I went back and be like, Michael Jackson's a really stand-up guy, something like that, or any kind of off-color joke, something like that, even imagine, it's never going to happen. It'll never happen. But imagine David Attenborough was a nonce. Imagine he was a pedo. Imagine it came out David Attenborough was a pedo. It'd be devastating.
He's the one.
He's the one that would just break everyone's hearts. But you could
tell everyone that's it. The world's fucked. If that happened in 2020, that's it.
That would be it. That would be it imploding on itself.
Yeah.
He went out dogging in the animal kingdom. No, but it could So I don't know. Would I want something that says, if people are going to take Twitter at the base level, being like, what you said then is something you believe now, and you mean it with malice, you mean it with hate.
Yeah.
If people are going to view it like that, then fucking delete it. If that's the language people speak, then I need to be, hold myself accountable for the fact that I could be misconstrued as saying that. Yeah. Hey, I love David Attenborough in 2020, and then I find in 2021 he's a nonce. They'd be like, well, you support, because they could, because they've done that before. But I think people will think. I think for the most part, how people get cancelled is if they are hypocrites, right? So you'll find more people who are like, I stand, but hashtag believe women, I stand with women, and then it's revealed that they were, fucking sexual predators. These are the people that get hung out to dry. Not the lads like fucking Dapper Laughs, or whoever who pops up, or these comedians who act like they're chauvinistic and misogynist. They get to carve out their own path by being true to themselves, even though it's, it could be fairly deplorable stuff they're saying.
Yeah.
But it's people who say, I believe, hashtag believe women, who are also doing stuff. They're the people, because people hate hypocrisy more than they hate the actual other side of the political agenda.
And it's funny because I Keelan Moncrief. Do you know Keelan Moncrief?
No.
On here before, and she was saying that but humans are often hypocritical in their own right so much as well. So it's just kind of funny because the irony there is there.
No, it is there. But I suppose it depends what people like. I've seen people get cancelled for something stupid or a really kind of poor taste joke that they made, 10 years ago before they were, directing Disney films, and then it's like, well, is it the same guy, and what was the whole, method before?
Remember Matt Damon came out with being like, it was more of a statement of some people have, I think, cancels on different levels, and he was like, what Harvey Weinstein is absolutely awful, and then what someone who might have made a comment towards someone was awful too, but different levels. And then Twitter just went at him for saying that, and he was like, fuck me, right? And then just deleted the tweet and got off Twitter.
Yeah, but if he had said that now, would it have been the same thing? I think you also have to be cautious of the fact that there's times when people are very hypersensitive about things, Like recently, there was a lot of things coming out about comedians here in Dublin and comedians in Ireland.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was a time when it was very highly, an emotional time, where I did even see a couple of people who were saying stuff in solidarity with women. And I totally understand why. They were saying it in solidarity with some women. We're also getting kind of being like, well, you fucking do this, or you used to work with someone and stuff like that. And I totally understand that it's a very hyperly, emotional time. And also people kind of on Twitter, they're like, all I have is these 140 characters, and my tweet gets to be seen in between Donald Trump's and this comedian. So I'm going to use my voice.
Yeah.
And my voice is as important as yours, so I'm going to make it be heard. And I understand people can only use their voice, and that can seem like a mob mentality, when in reality it's one person and then a load of them on a keyboard trying to really voice their opinion and use what they have, which is their voice. So I think for the most part it's used for good.
Yeah,
And I think in general, I think in like 99% of the time, it's it's a good thing. I don't necessarily know about cancelling, because I feel like where's the conversation if it's just this binary, you're off now.
Yeah, I know. Where's the discussion? Where can we learn from it, as opposed to be like, that's it, gone.
But definitely, if someone is someone you like, I don't want this person. This person is a fucking predator towards comedians. That means, okay, they don't get booked for comedy gigs. That's like, I totally get that. That's. No, you blew it. You don't get to do the job anymore.
It's so funny as well, like
that job anymore. Your life isn't over.
It's so funny, the social channels and how they're very different. Like the Twitter is very much for like the like social discussion and political conversation, and then the odd like.
Well, it acts like it is.
Okay, yeah,
it's a fucking bin on fire.
Yeah.
And people are screaming at the fire not being big enough. And
then like Instagram is very much like your fake reality of showboating and what you've done, and like your influencers of people, and like they're fake filters and stuff. And then Snapchat is dead.
Snapchat is dead.
TikTok is a younger generation in a form of like new kind of content, new way of content that hasn't really been seen before, and now everyone's a content creator, and it's mad. It's funny. It's like how much kind of diversity there is amongst the social channels.
There is, and I think that's back to your point. I mean, I think that's where people find success, is that they don't, because you might have, we were talking about it before we came in here, if you do a video podcast, you can get a lot more kind of pieces of content for that. You could release 15 seconds on TikTok, you could release the audio as a podcast, you could release clips on Twitter to different formats and everything. But but if you were actually to shoot something on TikTok of you talking, would have a better, something that's for TikTok. You can certainly change the ratios and think it fits in TikTok.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you're going to see the same level of success.
Yeah. Before we finish up, I do have one question I'd like to ask, because I do ask everyone on the show, is where would you like to be in, like, where do you see yourself? I know it's such an interview type question. In, would say, post-pandemic. 3 years. So like, you've only been doing this for 3 years. So where would you like to see yourself in 3 years? Where do you?
I'm not gonna lie, man. Like, I think I fucking peaked.
I would completely disagree. No,
like, I know, I don't. I think maybe I might get a bigger reach.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie. Like, since I set up the podcast and I have a Patreon for the podcast, and the Patreon now pays me as good a wage as any job I've ever had to just do a podcast. Same. Which is, so
I don't have any Patreons. So same. So someone actually asked me last week, like, so how much is like, are you getting from the podcast? I'm like, I'm minus 200 a month. So not much. But yeah, it's
so if that isn't like the fucking dream scenario, so like some way of just giving back to the people that support that. So whether that's, it's a way of putting a fucking movie out for people who want to pay for that. Literally whatever I can do. Is that gone? I see myself doubling down and trying to make a kind of production kind of thing based out of the Patreon. A way of increasing that and just giving things back to people who want to support it.
That's a really kind of like, I suppose, well thought out answer, as opposed to, in 3 years' time I'd love to be twice as big, or doing, it's a great to be like, that's a genuine thought process of, I want to use this to do something else in a format that gives back to people, and also something I'm interested in doing, and I want to explore further.
No, I definitely want to give people more of what they want. I want to surprise people with maybe stuff that they don't know that they'd like and might enjoy. But right now I have the fucking dream life in that I get to do a podcast at my own pace.
Podcasts, for people who don't know, there's the Great British Breakup podcast.
This is what I'm talking about.
I don't even watch Great British Breakup at all, but I've watched 2 of the podcasts, and just, actually, I had to pause the most recent one at the very start when you talk about killing your dog with chocolate. I actually nearly wet myself, just because I don't even watch it. I don't even watch Great British Breakup.
The Nestle eggs are shy. Cadbury's all the way.
Frozen in the freezer. Or
really?
In the fridge, yeah, cold chocolate from an Easter egg. It's
yeah, it is thin enough, isn't it?
It's nice.
It's not too bad, yeah.
No, it's nice.
Right,
Sorry, go on.
No, I don't know what shit on about. No, I have. I'm just saying that right now. I since the pandemic happened and since realizing the Patreon, I was looking at things beforehand, thinking I want everyone to see me doing that. I want everyone to see me doing a movie. I want everyone to see me doing like a TV show. Not like this was just like in the biggest fantasies ever. Like, you know, if I was to paint the biggest picture, would it be like a you know, write or direct like a movie in a couple of years' time? Now I'm realizing what I want my actual life. Now that I have something like the Patreon that actually is incredible to the lifestyle, which is just I have the freedom to do a podcast when I want, spend time with my family, spend time with my son, but also give people what they want. It just changed the perspective of, you know, it's more just about how do I fit it all into my lifestyle? What would make me happy on a day-to-day basis? You know, video game streaming, fucking doing that. You know, do that, do a podcast, and then people can find me even fucking more than they would if I was just doing a stand-up show of 1 hour once a year. You know, you come find me, you know, online. Come catch me outside. How about that?
Well, before we go, I've one. You do now. I don't have an interest in soccer at all, but you do. You have a huge interest in soccer, don't you?
Well, not really. Like I basically I get footballers. People send me footballers. I Google them for 5 minutes and then I come up with footy chants.
Oh, you don't actually have
I do not know anything about football at all.
Well, this segment was going to be. I asked my best mate Scopes, who's another big fan, to send in a few names of footballers.
Go on, yeah.
And then just come for the chant because I thought you were a football fanatic.
Sure. No, like it might look that way because I get the names and then I spend like half an hour on each googling them and trying to come up with a football chant. You know, I'm chuffed that it comes across as like I know what I'm talking about there.
Yeah, but, no, it does. Right. So I'll give out one or two, and just before I finish it up. So I'm gonna butcher these names. Okay, so Sebastian Haller.
Haller?
Yeah.
Or Heller?
Halle or Haller?
Sebastian Haller. Sebastian Haller, okay.
He's
It's based for West Ham.
Yes, West Ham.
Baller. Caller, Maller. Dollar, Waller. This is how it works. Ashton, Bastion. Asking.
This is genius in motion, folks.
Was there any songs about asking? Bastion, best. You're Sebastian Haller. No one's gonna ever keep you down. That's
good. Jeez,
you know, you just have to try and fit the thing.
Right. Nigeria. JJ.
I should have rhymed it with hammers because he plays for West Ham.
Oh.
I'll do this one later. Thank you for this.
JJ Okocha.
JJ Okocha. Mocha. Ocha. That you give me. I'm thinking just that you give me no. That you give me no. That's just the first thing that's popping into my head. JJ, you caught your son. Drops to Jupiter or something in there. I don't fucking know. Is that not Drops to Jupiter? Is it?
Last one. Scopes, as his nickname goes, and of course the fella in the green and white shirt.
What?
Did you ever see that video?
No.
You've never seen that video? No. It's like the woman who asked this man, this inner city Dublin man. Oh my God! I actually have to get. He's like, and do you support? And of course Celtic.
Yeah.
And of course Celtic.
Celtic.
The fella in the green and white shirt. That's the one.
It is great.
Tony, thank you very much for coming on. If people,
thanks.
I mean, like, people are here to listen to you, so they know where to find you. But should some random straggler have found themselves on this podcast, thought this is peak, this is hilarious, where would you direct them to first?
I would direct them to my podcast, Tony Cantwell's Hit Show, which you can find on all the channels, and that's every Tuesday, and then every Thursday there's a Bake Off podcast on the same feed, and you can see videos of that as well. No, do you know what? I'm giving you too many directions. Just look up Hit Show. You're only going to do one. If I give you two, you're going to do neither. Go look up Hit Show, and you'll probably find it easier on Spotify. Perfect.
Tony, thank you very much for coming on. It was a pleasure. Virtual handshake, because
huge virtual dog.
You don't dog someone.
Okay.
Hey, see, I'm learning. If you'd like the podcast, as always, you can get in touch, podge@thepodcast.ie, or Podge Henry, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all them. And Patreon at patreon.com/podcast. Who knows, we might get one Patreon yet. Thank you very much for joining me. As always, from Collaborative Studios, we do hope you have a good week, and we'll see you next week.